Hey everyone, I'm just going to do a quick video on Brittney Griner and Mark Cuban offering her, saying he would sign her as a chance to play in the NBA Summer League. When I initially heard this, I exactly wasn't too happy about it. I wasn't all for it. And it's not because I don't think Brittney Griner can compete against men, but I think it appeals to an idea that we have to validate Brittney against men to see how dominant she really is. And I think there's something very flawed in that logic because to me, it's pretty much saying that, well, what you did over the last 4 years was great, but now let's see what you can do against the big boys. And to me, the big boys or big women or big girls in our competition is in the WNBA. I'm not saying this in a way that she can't do it, but I think the idea that we are saying that women in 2013 have to be validated by men to be great is wrong. I think that's absolutely wrong. And I mean, I remember when Annika Sorenstam went to the PGA Tour for an event, and I think I want to say she barely missed the cut or whatever. And that was okay, that was cool, because she was a professional, professional. But it doesn't dismiss her as one of the greatest women's players that I ever saw. And I don't think that we should be saying, well, let's see what you can do against the men, because it invalidates dominance in their arena. It'd be like if we said, well, actually, never mind. That speaks for itself. But I do think that I think Brittney Griner was the most dominant college basketball player in the last 2 years, men's or women's. You could say Anthony Davis was, but Brittney Griner put up more points than he did. So I think that she was the most dominant player the last 2 years. She deserves to go against the WNBA to see how she'll have to adjust, how she's going to have to maybe, get a little bit stronger, how she'll be a strong post player against more physical players who saw what Louisville did to her. That's what I want to see. I want to see what she'll do in the WNBA. That's the next step up for her. Going against men would be kind of like a sideshow. It would be treated that way. And instead of being able to appreciate what she could do and how she may hold her own, people would look and say, well, she couldn't do it, so good luck in the WNBA or whatever. And I think that that would be wrong. And this isn't saying that girls can't compete with boys, because I'm used to that. I've been playing with girls since I was 7 years old on the basketball court. When I was in college, I played with our women's team for a scrimmage. I'm all for it. It's not about saying they can't do it. They can. There are some women who could definitely hold their own against men. Not just from a strength standpoint, but just from a skill standpoint. They could hold their own. I remember when I was growing up, I saw the Slam magazine cover of Shamika Holtzclaw with an NBA jersey on. She could have played. I mean, I thought she had the possibility to. So I think the question isn't about, well, why are you denying her a chance to play against men? Isn't that what feminism is all about? Feminism is all about. I think it also should be about building up strong women's leagues that can compete, or a strong women's league that can compete with the men and say, hey, go check this out. There are great athletes here. I think Mark Cuban, as a great business mind and a great personality and a great thinker that he is, instead of maybe plucking Brittney up and putting her in the summer league, why not say, hey, how can we better promote the WNBA for her and for a lot of the other great players who are in there? What can we do to promote this a little bit more? They're struggling with some promotion. Can we host, I don't know, do some kind of promotion or do some kind of way to directly impact the women's game? I think that would be a more noble endeavor than just poaching the best player and putting them in there to see what they can do. What good does it serve? Brittney's going to love it because, hey, she wants to compete. She can hold her own. Yeah, why wouldn't she? But for me and for a few other people, I think that it would not be the best because it serves this selfish notion that, hey, she's not good unless she can compete with men. It's kind of like the same thing I hear about Pat Summitt when she retired. Some people said, well, she was a great coach, but I wonder what she could have done coaching with men. As if she's not one of the 10 greatest coaches of all time, period. That invalidates her. That doesn't respect her by saying you have to see what she can do with men. Or if we say, what would Serena do against men? Or what would, I'll stick with Serena. Serena, what would she do against men? I mean, that invalidates her as the best American tennis player, male or female, of the century. I don't think that's fair. And I think we have to be very careful in saying things like that because it further exposes our sexism in a way. And I think that we have to own it and just say, you know what, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe we should say, you know what, great career. Let's build you up. Let's praise you. Let's elevate you. Wish you on a WNBA and let's see what you do there. I'll give you a good example of it. In the Negro Leagues, Rube Foster, who created the Negro Leagues, wanted the Negro Leagues to not be a farm system for the majors, But as a creator of a independent, strong black business that was being run, he wanted the major leagues to pick up a team and put them up on an equal footing with the majors. Not just pick off their best players and say, let's see what you can do because you're really good. But he wanted people to pick up, the majors to pick up teams and elevate them to say they're on an equal footing. Once he passed away, along came Branch Rickey, and that became the rating of the Negro Leagues right there when he signed Jackie Robinson. That's a whole other story, but there goes the idea of, well, let's see what you can do against men. Let's see what you can do against men. And eventually what's going to happen is that, it's going to be a sideshow. It's going to be a noble idea that is going to blow back up because society and sports fans are not ready to think about this logically. And it speaks to an idea that, again, she's only good as she does it against men. So that's my thoughts. I love Brittney Griner. I wrote a great blog post about her dominance and how I kind of respect her. And I think that for the betterment of women's basketball, she should not do this. And Mark Cuban should go ahead and do some promotion for the WNBA or do something for the women's league because I think that would be the greater good for everyone involved. Peace.